Good morning, Malacañang Press Corps. Kasama na natin si Presidential Spokesperson and Chief Legal Counsel, Salvador Panelo.
Good morning. Not very good morning in France. Mag-issue na lang.
Okay, questions, Joseph?
Bonjour, monsieur. Sir, maybe you want to express a message of solidarity to the people of France.
We'll just issue a statement.
Okay, questions? Other issue? Ina?
Hi, sir. Sir, can you give us details of the vetoed funds, yung more than 95 billion pesos?
Those are the so-called insertions, riders. They are not part of the program by the DPWH. And it violates the Constitution. This is violative of the Constitution.
Can you
Because
expound?
they're not, you remember the decision of the Supreme Court? The decision of the Supreme Court was that if they are unprogrammed, then it violates the Constitution.
Sir, can we just be clear about this? Are these funds pertaining to the so-called
Yes.
last-minute insertions made in the House of Representatives?
It is.
Okay, sir. I know it was already mentioned that they were placed under the DPWH. Can you give us more details on what types of projects and if baka maliban po sa DPWH?
No, I do not.
meron?
I have no knowledge in that.
Since clearly the president is taking the position that reallocations or the alleged insertions were unconstitutional, can you give us what he said about it when he actually vetoed it? Was he disappointed that those insertions were made? Can you tell us what his thoughts about it?
As I have said in my statement, those vetoed provisions are in violation of the Constitution, or it is against certain statutes. That was also the statement made by the President.
Okay, may follow-up on budget? Joseph, then Joyce.
Sir, in short, we're calling it pork, sir, no? We're calling it pork, the 95.
Pork,
Pork barrel.
if you classify it that way. If you classify it that
No,
way.
sir, you. Because the Supreme Court decision on the pork barrel is unprogrammed, tapos yung mga discretionary fund, lump sum appropriations. So, the assessment of the President and ES is that it's pork.
They are in violation of the Constitution, whether you call it pork or beef or meat or fish. Those provisions are violative of the basic charter.
Sir, by vetoing this 95 billion pesos, is
How?
the President, by vetoing po,
Oh.
this 95 billion, is the President sending a message with regard to corruption? Because prior to this, he had abolished the road board, which is also a source of corruption for many.
The message is always you follow the Constitution. Any deviation from the Constitution will not be approved by the President or will not be tolerated.
Okay, sir.
Okay, Ina?
Quick lang, sir. Na-validate po ba ninyo yung report since the budget was studied before some parts were vetoed, yung sinasabing the funds were given to allies of the House Speaker?
No.
Itong question
Hindi ko alam
funds.
yun. I'm not part of the study of the budget.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay, Joyce?
Sir, here. Yung 95 billion, kasi mas malaki siya doon sa 75B na napansin ng senators. And according to Senator Ping Lacson, yung 95B, it could also include the 20 billion plus insertions made by some senators. So yung 95B, House and some senators insertions po ba yun, sir?
Could be. I don't know the exact figures. Basta 95.3 billion ang total.
But definitely, sir, dun sa 95.3, yung buong 75 billion being questioned by senators, alleged insertions ng House.
Kasama yun.
dun. Yung remaining 20, we have no information yet.
Hindi ko alam.
Thank you, sir.
May follow-up budget, Maricel?
Sir, good morning. Sir, I understand doon sa budget na pinirmahan ni Presidente, meron ding mga conditional implementation. Why is that? That includes kasi even the allowance and benefits of teachers, right?
I think the President will issue a statement on that. We'll wait for that. We'll give you copies of that.
Okay, and when we say conditional implementation, what does it mean? What particular conditions, sir?
Siguro, we have to comply certain requirements, baka may audit, baka mayroong protocol.
What's the logic behind this, sir? If you can just give us a parang
I think I'll have to wait for the statement of the President. Kasi he said last night he will issue a statement.
And sir, last na lang po. Yesterday, supposedly yung ceremonial signing of the budget, which was initially included doon sa tentative schedule, pero hindi na natuloy yung ceremony. Why is that, sir?
Hindi ko alam. Basta alam ko pinirman mga past 6, 6:10 in the evening.
Because I'm wondering if you're actually trying to prevent yung possible clash between the Senate and Congress.
Daming, sunod-sunod yung kagabi. Ang dami siyang appointments, pati yung sa communist something. Wala nang oras.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
sir.
may follow-up, Bernadette, sa budget?
Sir, just to clarify po, yung veto po ba ni President ay direct or conditional po, yung sa 95.3? Because according to Andaya po, he still needs to see the veto message because he surmised that baka nga daw po conditional yung veto.
Hindi conditional. Wala doon yung conditional.
Okay, outright. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Other issue, MPC questions? Jeneline?
Sir, the President met with the tricycle operators and drivers yesterday.
I was not part of that. I left na before they met. Hindi ko alam yun.
Sir, how about the meeting with the task force on versus National Communist Insurgency?
Yeah, I was there.
Sir, may we know what are the latest
They issued a
directives of-
statement. Maybe I can share this to you. President Rodrigo Roa Duterte today rallied all instrumentalities of government, the private sector, and the entire Filipino nation to actively work together in a whole of the nation movement to address violent conflicts as well as build a culture of peace and development throughout the country. At the first meeting of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, held in Malacañang, President Duterte approved a national plan that would integrate and harmonize the various efforts of the whole of government and of all sectors of society in delivering goods and services, as well as in providing for peace and security, especially in conflict-affected communities. The members of the cabinet and other leads of agencies who were present at the meeting agreed that the whole of nation movement is not directed at defeating the communist insurgency, rather to demonstrate genuine good governance for the betterment of the lives of the people. To effectively manage the whole of the nation movement, the President will assign each of his cabinet members to oversee the peace and development efforts in all regions of the country. The designated cabinet officer for the region will be supported by a unified and integrated Regional Development Council, or RDC, and Regional Peace and Order Council, or RPOC. Also to be pursued is the fast-track implementation of the national Wi-Fi and 911 projects in all barangays nationwide. By effectively managing barriers and challenges to peace and development, the whole of nation movement envisions to build resilient and robust communities that promote the welfare and well-being of the Filipino people. The NTF-ELCAC was created by virtue of Executive Order 70, December 4, 2018, quote, to provide an efficient mechanism and structure for the implementation of the whole nation approach to aid in the realization of the collective aspirations for inclusive and sustainable peace, unquote. It is chaired by the President and constituted by the heads of 19 concerned departments and agencies of the government, including 2 representatives from the private sector.
Generally, may follow-up?
Sir, did they also talk about the planned new peace panel during the meeting?
No.
May follow-up sa statement ni Secretary Joseph? Other issue? Ina? Joyce.
Sir, there were Filipino fishermen in Scarborough Shoal who said that they are Chinese vessels present in Scarborough Shoal are indeed harvesting giant clams or yung taklobo na tinatawag nila. And sabi nila, this is the reason why konti yung harvest nila sa Scarborough Shoal. Is this a cause for concern sa Malacañang?
I think the Secretary of Foreign Affairs already made a tweet on that. He said he will take legal action. He had already filed a note verbal or a diplomatic protest.
Is it something, sir, that the President can bring up when he, if in case matuloy or dumating sila sa bilateral talks sa China?
Again, that's always the President's call.
Thank you, sir.
Follow-up. Nestor?
Sir, in an interview this morning, Foreign Affairs Secretary Locsin said that the Philippines has filed several note verbals against China in the West Philippine Sea.
A salvo of, as
Yes.
he describes it.
Yes, sir, and he also mentioned that China has not responded to any of our protests. He suggested that the Philippines could turn to our only military ally, the United States. So what does the Philippine government wants now from the United States, since the President has mentioned in his previous speeches that the United States has been there in the South China Sea but has done nothing to stop Chinese aggression in the disputed sea? What do you want? Do we have any? What does the Philippine government wants from the United States, since we also have the Mutual Defense Treaty, sir?
Well, we will wait for the President's decision on that. We'll wait for him.
May follow-up. Joseph or Joyce?
Sir, but are we hoping that eventually the Chinese vessels would stop from what they're doing, yung harvesting mass giant clams in Scarborough Shoal? At the end of the diplomatic protest, yun yung inaasahan natin, sir.
So your question is, what will we do?
What are we hoping dun sa final natin na note verbal?
Well, we'll wait for their official response and then act on it,
But
one way or the other.
But in essence, sir, the Philippine government is sending a message sa China to stop whatever they're doing sa
Well, the
Scarborough
fact
Shoal.
that we have already issued a diplomatic protest or not verbal is already a statement of the position of this government.
Okay, Ina. Microphone, please.
In relation to Nestor's question, sir, but what would prompt us to actually tap our only military ally, as the Secretary said?
As I said, we will wait for the President's decision on that. It has to be studied.
Sir, is China's continued presence in Pag-asa Shoal, could that prolonged presence rather in Pag-asa, near Pag-asa Island rather, prompt us to seek U.S. assistance?
We'll wait for the President's decision on that. These are very serious matters and requires serious study.
Sir, how does the palace feel with China not responding to the salvo of notes verbal we've
We're still
and
waiting.
protests?
I'm sure they will respond in time.
Sir, never nga daw po sa
Wala
dami
pa
sabi.
Baka next week pagdating namin doon, meron na. Di ba?
So you're hoping that China will still.
Yeah, they should.
Okay. Are you willing to yesterday kasi sir ang sinasabi niyo welcome yung bilateral negotiations in settling
Yes.
territorial disputes. Are you always going to be okay with settling with that negotiations? Because it seems that's always their response, sir.
Kasi wala namang iba sa ngayon na po pwede. In the meanwhile, negotiations tayo.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. MPC questions, other issue. Joseph? Okay.
Sir, si Secretary Locsin said that he wants the Chinese vessels out. That sounds like a policy, right?
Yeah. I also said that they must move away.
Correct. And do you think the president will probably heed that recommendation?
Well, the president said, don't touch our people there. Ano pa ba yun? Ganun din yun.
Your reaction first, sir, dun sa pag-harvest ng mga taklobo. First off, that's within our EEZ. It's like your neighbor going in and getting your plants, right?
That's why I share the sentiment of Secretary Locsin when he filed a diplomatic protest and said he will institute legal action.
How would you describe that action, sir?
Legal action? I don't know.
No, the Chinese action of harvesting giant clams in our
Well, as I
territory.
said, if you recall yesterday, I said China, as far as it is concerned, it owns the vast South China Sea. Hence, logically, it will be performing acts of ownership or sovereignty over those areas. In other words, they're just being consistent with themselves. Tayo rin, we have to be consistent with ours. Since as far as we are concerned, that is ours. So we will be objecting to any intrusion into our own territory.
Again, to my question, sir, how would you describe that Chinese action of harvesting giant clams that is in our area?
Yun ang nga sagot ko dun eh. They are, as far as they're concerned, sa kanila yon. So, they are performing acts of ownership. Sa atin, hindi. Sa amin yan eh.
Is this a violation of our sovereign
Siyempre,
rights?
it's natural because if it's our territory, therefore, it is an affront to our territory and to our sovereignty.
Sir, aside from diplomatic protests and not verbal that the Chinese have been ignoring, what do you think are our other avenues to maybe advance our claim?
I will have to defer that to the Secretary of Foreign Affairs because that is his territory. I will not preempt.
Yes, but we're the palace, right? So we have a
Even
little.
then, as you see, the style of the presidency, he leaves it to the departments.
But do you think that includes turning to our military ally,
Well,
which is the
everything is-
United States, considering that he has pivoted away from the U.S. and towards China?
Again, as I said, this will require serious study.
Dahil?
Oh, because it's,
Because serious implications and all that?
because there may be repercussions. On both sides.
Okay.
Okay, questions, MPC? Ace, may follow-up ka ba? Other issue? Okay na tayo. Maricel Halili?
Sir, may we have an update if may binigay ng decision si Presidente about dun sa MWSS, yung report ng mga concessionaires?
Wala pa siyang sinabi kagabi.
But sir, kanina kasi lumabas yung news na nag-resign na raw yung COO ng Manila Water. Does it have something to do with the recommendation of the President?
I don't know. Wala pang feedback sa akin.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, may follow-up doon? Ace, wala nang follow-up doon? Sa water? Other issue? Joyce.
Sir, anong plano ni President Duterte this entire Holy Week?
Saan?
This entire Holy Week.
Holy Week? Bahay. Bahay. As far as I know, bahay lang.
Wala siyang any lakad with the family outside, sir?
Wala pa akong alam. He can always change his mind.
Okay, MPC, last questions. Joseph? No more na? Okay? Okay, thank you, Secretary
Thank
Panelo.
you.
Thank you, Malacañang Press Corps. Back to main studio sa Radyo Pilipinas and People's Television Network.